Come one, come all, welcome to part 56 of the official r/civ battle Royale run by TPangolin. The title card for today's episode was made by JRU247, who also did other similar pieces of art after last part. I, Burgerkrieg, shall be your narrator today, reading slides by everyone's favourite Finnish reformer, Thy Reformer. He does all kinds of stuff and is all over the place. Lately he's been doing Civilization Ball, and he's very hyped for this part. And we both hope you enjoy. This beautiful map made by Mel Sistra shows us the world after part 55. Feast your eyes upon it, for it will never be the same again. The countless wars after last part are visible right here, in an easy to read format. This graph was made by Mazer Laser. The power rankings show the Burrs still at the top of the game. There's a bit of deviation here though, we'll see how they do in this part. Alright, let's get to it. Here we see the Australian Hawaii in all their splendour. The Blackfoot must be slightly restless, but in my opinion the biggest losers here are the Hawaiians themselves, being conquered twice in quick succession. While to Australia this is merely a base of further operations, the populace can't be exactly happy. We also see that although some people in Honolulu believe in a god, the amount of those practices isn't increasing. The current followers must be a consequence of some missionaries. An Australian fleet approaches a contingency of Chilean ships. The two fleets here may seem even, with the exception of the Australian nuclear submarine, but the simple truth is that the Wobbegong easily outnumbers whatever the Chileans have to throw at them. Bernardo O'Higgins better look onto a quick peace deal to avoid facing a fate similar to that of Sri Lanka. Although the backdoor fleet of Chile is currently holding its ground, or sea, the Aussie reinforcements aren't too far. The Brazilian peacekeepers flowing into the ocean certainly won't make it easier for Australia on both land and sea, but at least there isn't an excessive amount of them here. If Brazil joined against Chile, O'Higgins would be truly screwed. The oddity on this slide is the cannon being hitched by a submarine. I guess it's not as bad as the giant death robot on a caravel, but still. Kekkonen has positioned some nukes in Finnish Arabia. As a Finland supporter and a Finn IRL, this warms my heart. Although the holdings in India might seem doomed, the Vietnamese troops over there are most certainly doomed. Calm as a bitch, Trunks. Make us proud, Kekkonen. Oh, and Chile makes peace with Afghanistan. Some Finnish and Buccaneer troops skirmish in the Alps, with the Vietnamese providing artillery support. A working relationship, one might say. What's notable in this slide is the fact that Orleans, Neapolis, and Lyon have already been annexed by Iceland. The speed at which former French cities are being integrated into Ingolfur's empire is mind-numbing. Mongolian modern armor enters the front as Yakutia and Finland make tentative advances into Mongolian territory. Despite having modern troops at the front, Genghis Khan also has landships and Great War infantry. I mean, come on. Also note the lack of Mongolian melee units in this slide. Mostly artillery and machine guns, which is not exactly a winning strategy. Yep, nukes have flown here. It's quite apparent that it is Yakutia who did this. Both Mongolian and Siberian units have suffered casualties under the searing fire of the atom. Judging by the damaged units in the upper right corner, I'd say there's been another nuking over there. Yakutia is really being nuke happy here. And with the foreign troops booted out of Sibir, there's nothing stopping the AI from using weapons of mass destruction till there's nothing left. This spot has been nuked as well, though the fallout has yet to render. The Chinese knight to the north, however, is protecting quite a large radius of Siberian and Mongolian units, just by standing there. This is as close as to being a god you can get, Mao. The Yakutian war machine marches on, with their air force relentlessly pounding down the Mongolian cities. Here in the south, the amount of Finnish troops is much smaller, meaning the gains made will be the Yakutians, although I could imagine some sniping by those paratroopers. The more enclaves, the better. Here we see Mongolians properly, and all we see is more ranged and outdated units. And cavalry. I mean, what the heck, Mongolia? Why weren't you partitioned by Sibir and Yakutia earlier? You didn't even kill China, and you're the goddamn Mongols. Northwards, we see Finnish troops advancing on Almark. All we need is some air support from the Yakutes and the city is ours, and the way for Siberian units into Yakutia is blocked. The Australian reinforcements have arrived, and the naval battle is taking a turn for the worse for the Chileans, as they begin to run out of ships, at least on this side of South America. And that doesn't bode well for their coastal cities on also this side of South America. Santiago de Chile, the capital, is already being blockaded by a fleet that should be capable of at least flipping it. Gyeongsei has already fallen to Vietnam, as the Trunks soldiers continue their relentless assault on Finland. Once again, quick annexation is at work, as the former Afghan cities have already been integrated into the Vietnamese Empire. Adding to the previous slide from here, Troy and York have also been annexed. Gotta give it to Iceland, they conquered France efficiently and will already begin to benefit from the land as soon as they get the infrastructure up. Meanwhile, the skirmishes between Vietnam, the Bucks and Finland remain minimal, with only a few casualties. And the proposal to repeal the embargo on Finland fails. Sometimes I get annoyed at the big part played by technically dead civs in the World Congress meetings, but such is life. At the r/CBR Model World Congress, people used to intensely discuss whether dead civs should have votes in the Congress or not. Those were the days. Also, open borders between Siberia and Finland. Well, at least one-way open borders, which should mean no war between the two. As much as I fear that Kuchum Khan would overcome Urho Kekkonen in such a situation, my interests towards true world war are much greater. And Tiginder Khan has been embargoed. I'm getting the feeling Finland and Yakutia are the bad guys here, but that shouldn't mean we'll lose. The war against Mongolia continues with no surprises. Intense amounts of industrial complexes built by Siberia here in the frigid north. Wait, this industrial complex has been pillaged. There's been another nuke. The Chinese night was just a smidgen too far, and thousands upon thousands of people died. With great power comes great responsibility, Mal, but I guess with you it's more like with great power comes great insanity. Afghanistan makes some more peace with people it barely knows, and Finland continues to fight a war it can't win, at least not on this front. The Mongolian front is another thing entirely. Kekkonen should try to peace out while he still has the Statue of Liberty, located in Agra, in his possession. If that doesn't work, nuke the Vietnamese to smithereens once they enter the area. Finland actually takes back Gyeongsei. The Finns are clearly fighting till the last man. Reinforcements don't seem to be coming. I wonder what the Finnish troops have in their minds as they sacrifice their lives for their country. Gyeongsei falls right back to Vietnam as a paratrooper finds itself on Agra's doorstep. We never expected to win against the Trunks, but let us make them pay for every bit in blood. Chile finishes the Manhattan Project as the Australian fleet nearby grows in size. Santiago has yet to take a meaningful amount of damage, but that's not the most important thing on this slide. Yakutia and Siberia make peace. When predicting what would happen in this part, people hoped for more war, not, peace. Siberia is now basically without conflict, leaving Mongolia to die a brutal death. And here we return to the former front between Yakutia and Siberia. No cities were exchanged in the peace deal, but nukes were most certainly exchanged before any peace was made. Parts of northern Asia will glow forever, as the fallout on the mountains won't be scrubbed. And Tiflis is the first casualty of the Yakutian-Mongolian War. I would expect this city to flip quite a lot, but with the lack of melee units on Mongolia's part, the flipping might be scarcer than expected. Also, I think Sia has been nuked. Poor bastards. Agra falls to Vietnam, and Gyeongsei has no chance of rebounding. Losing the Statue of Liberty is going to be a tough hit. Kekkonen will probably take Agra back and hold Gaur for a couple of turns, but other than that, I fear the worst. Here we can see that Yakutia has been extremely trigger happy when it comes to nukes in this war. If the Yakuts have any more of them stored up, all of Mongolia will be aglow by the end of this. Napoleon, going crazy with the lack of power, declares war on Chile. What an interesting move. At least it's some kind of movement, while the Wobbegong Armada basically just shuffles around. O'Higgins' fleet is nowhere to be seen, expected at the bottom of the ocean, What are you waiting for? You did what? Finland and Yakutia make peace with Mongolia before the war even properly starts. I'm flustered. At least Finland received some cities in the peace deal, while Yakutia seems to have received none. Well, I guess they got Tiflis and spent a shit ton of nukes. But all that matters is that there are more Finnish exclaves. In Border Gore we trust. Mexico finishes the Manhattan Project as well, while something different happens. Finland and Morocco declare war on Sparta, and both can actually reach their lands, if only through narrow routes. Yeah, that happened. Mexico would do well to get rid of Texas, but maybe they're afraid of the Inuit striking them down the moment they step out of line. I would be afraid, and unlike Mexico, I actually see the strange and scary Future Worlds unit from up north. A distinct lack of ships on Finland's part is apparent here, but the amount of tiles on which sea battles can happen isn't exactly huge, and only so many ships can come through the canal city of Constantinople. I also just realized that this is my dream war. We're finally fighting the annoying Spartans. We'll put an end to their shitposting and endless leg days. I dream of the day when Finnish flags fly above Dvin, and Sir Malok is finally freed. Let's kick some Spartan ass, shall we? Here we see the Spartan-Moroccan front in all its glory. While the Spartans clearly have a numerical advantage, Morocco has destroyers. And we shouldn't forget the Great Lighthouse. Morocco is also plotting against Arabia. Other than that, there really isn't much recent information here. What are our spies doing? Having another holiday somewhere? Sparta charges at Morocco like a rabid dog. Carthage is already falling into the red, and will probably flip some as the numerical superiority of the Spartans overcomes the Moroccan defenses. It also becomes painfully obvious that the Spartans have enough destroyers of their own. The Wobbegong Armada seems to be even bigger than last time. What could they possibly be waiting for? Are they carrying over some nukes? Agra has flipped for quite a while, all the way into one population, and Gaur is standing on its last leg. I can't see it holding for much longer. The peace between Ethiopia and Afghanistan gives us an excellent opportunity to look at the nicely developed Boer army. What, you thought you were going to have a look at the Ethiopians? No way, Jose. Ethiopia still has great war infantry, and look, no planes, at least in this slide. That's a nice exclave, but what's crueler is the citadel placed by Yakutia as a final nail on Mongolia's spine. This war truly broke Genghis, whether we wish to admit that or not. At least trade is returning to this war-torn region. ARR-occupied West Africa still glows in the dark, as the Boers quickly begin to carpet former Mali. We also see proof of Mansa Musa's continued existence. There's a privateer, a machine gun, and an artillery in the Buccaneer waters. Holy shit, that's way too many nukes. I mean, way too many. And the Spartan core is completely devoid of foreign units too. If Kekkonen is anything like Darkhan with nuclear weapons, we might have no Sparta left after this. There has been movement. The absolutely massive Wobbegong Armada is now entering Chilean waters, and although there is a notable amount of submarines, both nuclear and non-nuclear, in the Australian fleet, I have no doubt Chile is currently either preparing for a last stand around their capital or cowering in fear. The numerical superiority of the Spartans certainly is overwhelming. Despite this, Carthage has managed to heal, meaning the first Spartan charge might have been their strongest. Morocco will still have a hard time starting an offense, but they are still primed to capture Panormus from Sparta. Important here is the fact that Morocco has open borders with Ethiopia, and Sparta doesn't. This will play a part for as long as the war is waged on these battle lines. Gaur is at 0 health, ready to fall into the hands of the greedy Trunk sisters. It'll flip once, twice, but after that it's all over for Findia. Meanwhile, Persia and Afghanistan continue their mountain skirmishes. I can't imagine either one getting anywhere in this war, but maybe they're having fun. Why was Afghanistan on the receiving end of so many declarations of war anyway? Was it their weakness after the war against the Vietnamese? Yes, it probably was. The Australian invasion begins in the earnest as Concepcion falls to yellow and Talca receives its first bit of damage. Godspeed, Chile. Indeed, Panormus falls to Morocco, but will surely flip some more, and Carthage is ready to be taken by the Spartans. And to correct myself from earlier, there is actually a non-Spartan unit in the Spartan Corps. A French rifleman is valiantly standing its ground for free France. Not that there's much to fight here. He might just be vacationing. Oh my! Ahmad al-Mansur is currently building the Manhattan Project. We could see nukes flying at Sparta from 2 directions. Watch out, Leonidas. I'd say Braga is safe, even though Sparta has a relatively huge navy complemented by planes right nearby. This is the place where the Moroccan reinforcements enter the battle. What's funny is that Morocco is actually over-upgraded here. Plenty of anti-tank guns, but Sparta has no tanks. Not even land ships. The skirmishing between Finland and the Bucks/Vietnam in southern France is still just that. Skirmishing. Oh wow, the World Congress proposes the banning of coral and an embargo on the buccaneers. We had an excellent opportunity to look at their core, revealing us that Henry Morgan has plenty of coral, meaning that both these proposals are directed toward him. Nice call though. Sparta comes through, recapturing Panormus and taking Carthage, making sure it'll flip plenty. If the Spartans keep Carthage, they'll have 4 capitals. Not bad, but expected in the clusterfuck that is Europe. Iceland has attained an arsenal ship, one of the units in future worlds. I'm pretty sure they didn't have any of these babes last part, so good for them. Iceland looks great, and although a war with Sweden would be draining, they would come out on top. What surprises me is the spotty annexation going on here. 2 cities in the north are still puppeted, with Canterbury in the middle of the Icelandic Isles still unannexed as well. And Paris, of course. I have no idea why. Maybe it's the size. Last part, the Inuit built their first cyber subs. These things are absolute beasts. What's seriously needed here is the mod that removes civilian unit traffic jams. With foreign units in the way, the Inuit haven't been able to scrub the fallout, and they haven't been able to use that settler they've been saving up ever since that one city was nuked away. We get a good look at Madagascar under the burrs. And hover tanks. Damn, those things look cool. Can't help but notice the lack of cyber subs though. The Finnish paratrooper corps are basically running over Adrianople, and since Sparta doesn't have a carpet, they are free to land in their core, wreak havoc, and make room for more paratroopers. Just nuke them, okay, Kekkonen? We see that Leonidas has almost no planes on the Finnish front, but there's something else here. Sparta is clearly the primary destination for refugees around the globe, as there are French units, a Hunnic worker, an Indonesian scout, and a Timurid galleass. Not sure what their intentions are. The Australian attack on Chile continues to be a success, as 2 cities, Talca and Concepcion, enter the red. No cities have flipped yet, but expect some flipping to happen in the next few turns. Ahmad al-Mansur takes back Carthage and Panormus, but Leonidas still has more ships, ensuring that the flipping continues as long as Morocco can continue reinforcing the front. If the Buccaneers attack them right now, the Moroccans would be screwed, and Henry Morgan's hold on Africa would strengthen even further. Finland is still in the process of surrounding Adrianople, while the Armenians have more civilian units than military ones. How are they still even breathing? Chile is actually planning on distributing military resources away from the defense of the homeland. You can't even reach Texas, Bernardo. Have you gone daft? Sparta takes Panormus and Carthage right back from the Moroccans. These cities have flipped to non-existent amounts of population very quickly. Leonidas retains his numerical superiority, but he can't keep this going for very long. Being attacked on 2 sides is very draining, even if the lanes of attack are narrow. Adrianople falls. This is so exciting. It'll probably flip twice or thrice. But look, a paratrooper is already knocking at Constantinople's doors. Let's go all the way, boys. Damn, that's one hell of a carpet. A carpet of mostly diggers. We must remember though that the diggers upgrade directly to mechanized infantry, jumping normal infantry, which is pretty great. Talca falls. However, the Wobbegong doesn't rest. On the contrary, it'll be the Chileans that'll be resting after this. Concepcion is about to fall as well, and Santiago de Chile seems to be taking damage. Remember that huge fleet of Australian generals that sailed for Hawaii once upon a time? Well, here they are again in all their glory, if only a bit thinner, near the airbase at Tulum. Tulum was probably a nice place, until the Australians came and occupied it, changing its purpose to purely militaristic. Indeed, Santiago de Chile has taken some damage. It does not look good for Bernardo, but the amount of Brazilian peacekeepers flowing into the sea is growing by the day. It's also told to us that Chile has recaptured Talca. They also have 15 planes in this slide, although some of those could be nukes or guided missiles. They have guided missiles and misguided men. Another good look at the Australian carpet. It's fear-inducing, it's paralyzing. Senshi Denshi told me Australians don't have floors, so I'm not sure where they're keeping these massive carpets. Maybe there's enough room in the outback. No matter what, Chile is going to be on the losing end here. But how much they lose, that's what matters at this point. The excessive amounts of Aussie submarines causes the Wobbegong to stumble over itself. Morocco, are you telling me you didn't retake Carthage this turn? God damn it! Leonidas is going to have 4 capitals for a while, since this is the last slide before the info addict section. Sparta supporters will be, well, Spartan. Both sides have already lost considerable amounts of units, and this might attract the attention of some other nearby civs, such as Sweden or the Bucks.